Afternoon, Eddie Gillis here, PanoLogic. Today we're going to talk about DVM collections and how Pano manages those within our Pano controller. We have basically two different types of DVM collections with Pano. The first collection is user-based collections. We'll talk a little bit about those, and then the second one is device-based collections. We also have another type that's rarely used. It's called a third-party connection brokers, which is collection type that's used with the VMware View or the Zen desktop agent. So those are very easy to deploy. So we're going to talk more about the more commonly ones that are used, the user-based and the device-based. There's two inside of the user-based that's most commonly used, the pooled desktop collection and the permanently assigned desktop collection. And then we're also going to talk about the Windows login desktop collection from the device-based group. So first piece is the user-based collections. Pano uses the user-based collections to assign DVMs based on user accessing the system. User-based collections, if you want users to be able to access DVMs regardless of location, for instance, if you want them to be able to roam freely throughout the workspace, you would use a user-based collection for that. Device-based collections are just that. You're actually assigning a DVM to an actual Pano endpoint. You'll use device-based collections if you want to use the system to always allow a specific DVM to connect to a specific Pano cube. And there's more information online for device-based collections as well. So the first one we're going to talk about in the user-based collection is called the permanently assigned desktops. Permanently assigned desktops are just that. They are permanently assigned to a user, require dedicated virtual desktops, and they also require the ability to save files locally to the endpoint. This collection type is most commonly used in a typical office environment where PCs are being replaced and you're going to change your endpoint to your Pano systems. The desktops are created automatically and permanently assigned to users upon first login. And after a Pano system assigns a DVM user, that user retains that same desktop until you unassign that desktop to that user. The set of users that are entitled to use the collection is specified in the collection type, whether you're using a group or individually assigned desktops. Alternately, you can assign a DVM, particular DVM, using a management console interface. Permanently assigned desktop types allow leverage of automated deployment while providing users a dedicated DVM that they can customize and personalize. So, i.e., they can set their desktops, backgrounds, they can have their favorites if you're not redirecting their user profiles and their data files. Pooled desktops is the other user-based collection that we're going to use. Pooled desktops is a common DVM collection within Pano. This collection is usually used in the call center environment. We also use this collection in a lot of school labs environments where you're going to give a subset of users a desktop at any given time. And the intent of this collection is to save computing resources, but not having each user assigned a permanent desktop. All users have the same desktop because they're not permanently assigned. However, you can use Windows roaming profiles or third-party applications to handle user profiles to redirect those to a different location. It allows some type of customization to the environment, but it's still the baseline template is the same. With pool collection types, DVMs are created automatically and temporarily allocated to a user as they log in. DVMs are then returned to the pooled environment once they log out. You can also create your DVMs in this type of collection from a template and then assign it to the users using the Pano controller. The set of users that are entitled to use the collection type is specified in the collection properties. Assignment of DVMs in a pooled desktop collection type is on a per session basis. So as soon as that user logs off, that DVM is returned to the pool itself. So inside of the Pano management controller interface, adding the DVM collection, this is how you would do it. So here we have the user-based collections and the login process with Pano. At this moment here, your Pano will come online. It will see the DVM, and the Pano controller will issue a login prompt. So the login is the Pano login screen and not a Windows login as you would with a device-based collection. At this point, the user would put in their credentials and connect to the login and be issued their desktop. And now they're issued their desktop, and they'll be able to access their desktop freely within the building and throughout the organization. The other collection type we're going to talk about today is the Windows login collection type, which is a device-based collection type. A device-based collection type allows you to assign panel endpoints rather than users to a specific DVM. That model is useful if you want to implement special usage scenarios, such as a kiosk or a shared computer. A kiosk is commonly defined as a limited purpose computer that supports multiple users. Kiosks are often placed in open locations throughout environments where you simply walk up and start using a device. So within the device-based collections, our most common type of deployment is the Windows login. The Windows logins type belongs actually to the endpoint. A Windows login collection type allows you to set up the panel endpoint and the corresponding DVM to act just like a Windows PC. This is useful if you require biometric type devices to log in as well. Or if you want to give that user a desktop replacement and you want them to have that same PC feel, you cannot have the panel login screen, you will actually have the Windows login screen. Assigning DVMs in the device-based collection is very similar in the controller as you do a user-based collection, and this is how you would set that up. Okay, so we're back here with a device-based collection, and at this point here you can see it's Control-Alt-Delete, a Windows login, versus the user-based collection we showed you earlier that had the panel login screen. At this moment, when that panel comes online, it connects to the panel controller. It gives them down at the end user a Control-Alt-Delete. As you can see here, a user will go in, select Control-Alt-Delete, put in their credentials, and log into their desktop. It's the same desktop they will receive all the time, so they can customize this desktop in this environment that they work in. When they're done with the panel, they can actually hit the button to disconnect from the session, and it takes them back to the login screen. So here we have the panel controller UI, the DVM collections tab. From here is where you're going to build out your DVM collections, both user and device-based collections. Clicking on the add button will give you that option to start building out your desktops. Next to the type, you will see a more button. If you click that, that's when you get to choose between the 8 different DVM collections that we have. Permanently assign, pooled desktops, and Windows logins, which is a device-based collection. There is a little bit difference between the pooled and the permanently assigned. You notice the tabs at the top. There's a user control tab. When you move to a pooled desktop, that tab goes away. That is the only difference between that when you're setting those up. When you move to a Windows login, that user control tab returns to you. Once you're finished here, your DVM collection will be created and you'll be able to delve out panels. So in conclusion, today we've talked about the 3 most common DVM collections within Pano: pooled, permanently assigned, which are both user-based collections, and Windows logins, which is a device-based collection. You have options to use any of the other DVM collection types that are in there, and also third-party connection types. But again, these are our most typically deployed, and other information on the other different connection types are online for your viewing and better understanding.